Researchers from the public and private sectors announced today our species can now read its own genetic code.
Doctors increasingly will be able to cure diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, diabetes.
What if you knew that you were at risk for a devastating disease? How far would you go to keep from passing it on to your children?
Question, can human genes be patented?
This map marks the beginning of an era of discovery that will affect the lives of every human being, with implications for history, business, ethics, religion, and of course medicine.
So I was at dinner with someone and who will remain nameless, but extremely knowledgeable about personal genetics. And we got to talking about choice, whether to continue a pregnancy or not. And this person said that, well, of course, everyone has choice, but if you give birth to a child who requires a lot of care, the government should not be responsible for taking care of that child if there was a choice to not have that child. And that was a very interesting response, very thoughtful on, he had thought a lot about this, obviously. So I said, well, what if that choice had been dictated by religious conviction? And the answer was, well, then the church should pay for that. So then we got into discussions about the cost. And that discussion moved very quickly into gross national product and how we value life. Do we value it by things we can measure because we can't measure other things like a life well lived or a person well loved? It's hard to measure. So I was just curious, has anyone else had conversations like that?
So if you develop lung cancer and you're a smoker, why should why should the federal government, if you're a veteran or on Medicare or whatever, why should anyone have to pay for that? Because you could have avoided that by not smoking, which it says right on the pack not to do.
But if you're genetically much more sensitive to
To addiction,
addicted,
yes.
is it really
Right.
involved?
Right.
But why is it associated with like early childhood and a lot of the conversations around Down syndrome are really early onset disorders, but if you look at late onset things, we have to pay for anything. We are all variable and disabled in some way, and we all have risk for everything. And so why should we have to pay for anyone's problems? But it always seems tied particularly to early childhood things, very severe disorders. Like Down syndrome, those kinds of things pop up. Like, why should we have to pay for this? But if this guy at dinner has late onset Alzheimer's, maybe he shouldn't have existed because now at age 60 and later, he's